Good evening, everybody. How are you? It's me, Comic Crack. It's Sunday. Well, it's like 1 in the morning, so I guess it's Monday. Doing this tonight. We're not doing a chat this week. Schedules just don't line up, so look for us next weekend. Probably back to like a Sunday afternoon stream. The show that I was working on is now done, so that frees up my weekends again for a little bit. So we'll probably go back to Sundays. Didn't read a ton this week, and there's quite a few things that don't really have too much to say about. So we'll start with those. I found some Serenity books, some Firefly related stuff, early stuff. So this is all from Dark Horse Comics. So Dark Horse, they did this stuff early on where Joss Whedon himself, I think he's on. Yeah, Joss Whedon himself was taking over the writing, kind of the continuation, kind of like what he was doing with the Buffy, the Vampire Slayer stuff when it went to the different seasons in comics when he was writing those. So this one has Joss plus a bunch of extra guests, Patton Oswalt being one of them, Chris Samney doing some stuff in this one as well too. Not too much to say about these. They were really, really great. I'd love to kind of get all this Dark Horse stuff. At this point, with the Boom Studios books, there's a lot that's happened that I feel like I've missed. So I kind of want to start back early days with this and kind of follow the story a little bit more. So those were entertaining reads, but no surprise there. We also had issue 2. Issue 2 of the new Firefly book from Boom called The Fall Guys. Issue 1 was pretty strong. This one was just okay. I don't know if it caught me as much, but again, it's hard for me to say. I look at this stuff through very rose-colored lenses here. I realize that I probably forgive a lot of imperfections when it comes to this stuff because I love the universe so much. So I think it's still worth picking up myself. One that I'm sure that we'll talk about with Rasa is Kaya, issue number 11 and issue number 12. So issue number 12 is the supposed standalone. And as I called it, I just want to say that I called this shit when he first said he was going to do an issue that would just be floppies and not contained in any collection. He's already gone back on that word, and he admits it in the issue because of the story that's involved with the standalone. This is only the second issue that has a standalone issue. The story really relates to the main title, and I gotta say, I'm a little disappointed that he went back on that so quickly. I'm not surprised. I'm just disappointed that he made this big production about it and said, hey, supporting the single issues is where it's at. This stuff will be exclusive to you readers. It won't be contained in the main when we do the collections of stuff, and then immediately went back on that. I think that's really kind of shitty. Just don't say that shit up front. Maybe give it a little more thought before you make big announcements like that. So I'm pretty disappointed in that side of it. Beyond that, though, these issues were still really strong. So issue number 11 gave us the kind of closure to that particular story arc. And this standalone issue, the first story in here, is kind of the after effects of this robot prince or whatever that's supposed to be going after this golden child, Kaya's brother there, who has this supposed magical powers. And kind of his failure at that and what his punishment is. So we do get a little bit of the after story. And again, it really relates to this character. He's basically got a ticking time bomb in him that is going to kind of cause him to die, I guess, basically, or deteriorate in a very specific amount of time. And the only way that he can get kind of the antidote is to get the kid and bring him back. So that puts a ticking clock on our story. And then the in-betweener is Gabrielle Walta is who does this in-betweener here. And it was a good little story. Nice. I still love the idea of giving the Kaya character to some other creators for them to tell a little bit of a story. It's just a short kind of 5-pager, but it was nice. I think the one in the previous story was stronger. And then the back matter, he has a bunch of fan art as well. So now he's claiming that this fan art and stuff are things that won't appear in the collected issues, which again, I would call bullshit on, because he's already lied to us once before. He also includes some early Kaya comic strips when he was still thinking of the character and thinking of the universe. I guess he did a series of little strips, so he includes some of those in the back, which is really great. And then we get the usual kind of look at what the next issue is going to be. Still a really fun series. As much as that kind of other stuff annoys me, it's still a really good series, and I think worth reading for sure. So therefore, you don't need to dig for those single standalone issues. If you want to trade weight it, then you can do so, because it's all going to be there anyway. Read a bunch of Matt Howarth stuff. We'll start with this one. We talked about issue 1 of Scan, which is part of his Mad Queen. What the heck do they call it here? His other universe that isn't the Post Brothers and Bugtown. So this was a 2-issue miniseries. There's a couple of other books that are related to this universe as well too. I recently went on Matt Howarth's website and I ordered a bunch of stuff directly from him. He had a bunch of stuff in stock. So I sent him an email. He's currently, I guess, doing a move. He responded and said, you know, there's stuff that's still buried, so it might take me a bit of time to dig up everything that you wanted. I'm really looking forward to just going straight to him. I mean, it's been nice to find stuff in cheap bins. Got some stuff sent to me by Nate, and finding some stuff on my comic shop. But now I'm at a point where I just want to fill some gaps in some of these miniseries and things, and just buy some issues, single issues that I haven't been able to find anywhere. So I figured we'll just go straight to the man. So hopefully in the next, I don't know, month or so, I'll have a shit ton more Matt Howarth to dig into. So this second issue, I kind of, this first Scan issue I thought was really strong, and it really kind of set the stage for what was going to potentially be a really interesting story. I got to say, this second half was kind of a letdown. I am curious about this universe to see what other stories he's going to tell in these. But I wasn't kind of blown away by this second issue. It's still kind of peak Howarth as far as like art goes, but it was a little bit disappointing. What wasn't disappointing was this 3-issue series called Contaminated Zone. This was fantastic. And what this is a collection of stuff that he did in, I think, like late 70s, early 80s. Like I want to say like 79, 1980, a bunch of collected little stories. These issues came out in 1991 on Brave New Worlds, but it is a collection of short stories from way, way earlier. One of the stories we get is a group of people called the Cubists, and we get the origin story of Caroline. Caroline is one of the main characters, and there's clones of Caroline that have been made. I don't exactly know how many, like infinity. There's been thousands of clones made of Caroline, I think is what the gist of it is. So we get her origin story. She was a being that was kind of powering this cubist reality, I guess, or this cubist kind of area, dimension, I guess. So we get some of that, and then we get a bunch of other short stories. What I love about this era of Howarth is kind of the same kind of thing that we saw in the heavy metal magazines. His style is quite a bit different. It's still very much Matt Howarth, but he does a lot of interesting things with page layouts. It feels like he was even more adventurous with his art back in these days, using kind of photo reference and things. It gives it a really neat look. Trying to see if I can find some pages that really stand out. It might have been in issue number 2. There was a few pages where, yeah, or even doing things like this, like giving us a strip that's kind of on an angle, just askew, just that little bit. It just feels he's really playing with the comics form a little bit more in this stuff. So as much as I recommend that Bugtown series for someone just starting, honestly, I would recommend this Contaminated Zone to really give you a nice taste of early Howarth work. Yeah, I mean, this stuff is pretty amazing. Like, that's a pretty great image there. You know, some really interesting art going on. Let's see if we can find something else here. Lots of white space being used as well in this early stuff. He's not afraid to give us some space. Let's look through issue number 2. I feel like there was a few pages that really caught my attention. So here's Hiroshima, right? Is that her name? Lady Hiroshima? Yeah, Hiroshima. Some nudity. Gather the children. We got boobies going on here. But I mean, just the figure drawing of her is worlds different than kind of what she kind of turns into with later stuff, you know. So it's very cool to see this era of Howarth. The stories themselves were pretty great as well. I can't really tell you the first thing about them. It's sort of, as much as they're separate little stories, I think from some of the write-ups, if I'm remembering correctly from the intros to some of these books, he did write some new stuff as well, just to kind of tie all these stories together. So it's kind of a mix. But I think the amount of stuff that he wrote to kind of tie things together is very minimal. It was just a little bit to kind of make sure that these stories sort of work together as one big issue, right? So these were a really good read, very entertaining stuff. Really gives you a look into how he creates these dense universes, and how he deals with all of these different storylines that still relate to one another. Yeah, super cool stuff. Can't say enough about Matt Howarth these days. I'm really loving his work a lot. What else do I have here? This goes over there. That's Scan. The final thing, I will kind of pull out the good old red book. I have hit the 500 comic mark, and I've hit it with, I figured no better way to hit that 500 than with Cerebus Jacka's story, issue number 1, or part number 1. This is actually issue number 114. So I've now made the 500 comic goal. Let me just flip back. Is there anything else that I've missed? Monica, we talked about before. Firefly, Kaya, Scan. Yep, no, that was it. So excited to dig into this. This was a tiny bit of a struggle because there's a lot of heavy text pieces giving the backstory of Jaka from when she was a child. So I found that a little bit challenging. I actually took 2 different sittings to kind of read this one issue. I don't think all of the issues are like this, but this was a slight bit of a challenge. It was still pretty rewarding. Again, I'm kind of keeping it in perspective that this is the prologue. This is the intro to our character. What I am blown away with is just the artwork and how clean everything looks, and the layouts of the pages. This is very precise. It feels like very precise comic book making, you know. This is very, very clean stuff. I love the art. I love the backgrounds. I'm so looking forward to digging into this stuff finally. Dave Sim is someone that I've just not dug into to my own. It's my own mistake in not doing so. There was nothing really holding me back other than I think the usual, where there's some creators where you feel like their catalog is so enormous that you kind of have to start from the beginning. So I was glad to hear from a few people, but specifically Gore Vidal, saying that, you know, if you want to start somewhere, read Jaka's story. That was one of his favorites. So it's good to kind of have a moment where I can kind of jump into the story and then kind of work my way from there. Beautiful, beautiful art here. Just amazing looking stuff. So I'm very much looking forward to keeping up with this now for the rest of the year. I'm hoping that I can finish the Jaka story stuff by the end of the year. That's the plan anyway. I'm going to keep kind of tallying books. Sorry, excuse me. I'm going to keep tracking books in my little red notebook there for the rest of the year, just to see how much I do actually end up reading this year. But what is this? The third year in a row, I think I've done this 500 comics goal. So I still really love doing it. It's still a lot of fun. And I'm finding, especially with the book itself, it's really great to be able to kind of go back much easier than it was with the Twitter feed and things, to look at the top of the year and see, like, you know, I was reading a bunch of Captain Harlock stuff, and Human Target was a thing this year, the Nameless City, then the random stuff like Bizarre Sex. What else do I have? Misspent Youth. This is the year of Matt Howarth. There's some annoying Post Brother stuff. So Baker Street, some Guy Davis. So really good to kind of have this at my fingertips with very brief little write-ups of some thoughts. Yeah, I'll be continuing this format, I think, next year as well, too. I still have this one from 2022 that I was compiling. I was going through my old Twitter feed and adding things into this book so I could have a physical copy of 2022's as well, but I haven't finished it. I think I only made it 100 or so. Let's have a quick look to see where I made it to. 214. I only made it to 214, writing them down in the book. So that'll be a project for the rest of the year to try to make sure I put all that in there. That's it that I read this week. One of the things I'm looking forward to reading this week is the Have Mercy issue, Bonding. Friendship Tested in Bonding. So the Spider-Man Venom kind of bootleg comic from Domino Books, signed by Christian Costello himself. Christian Costello did Wild, that I was a big fan of. And I saw that he had done this. He was offering some issues. He still had some leftover stuff, so I ordered it straight through him. I don't know if he's got anything left. I would say reach out and see if he does. This is a really kind of thick magazine-sized comic here, full color. Fantastic looking stuff. I'm really looking forward to digging into this. I'm hoping this week I can dig into this one. So that's kind of top of the reading pile, as well as some Doctor Strange, some more Firefly, of course, and then a gigantic amount of books to kind of continue on with. So that's it. No chat this week. We'll see you next Sunday with a live stream in the afternoon with Rasa. Thanks very much, everybody. Later.